Hey everyone, I'm at the Snowbird RV Show here. I just did a seminar 4 days in a row talking about RV life. While I was here, I was looking at all the new RVs, and it really got me thinking about how much I really focus on not owning my RV or planning on it for more than 10 years after its life. And the reason why is because of the 10-year rule. I'm not sure if you're aware of the 10-year rule. It sneaks up on a lot of people, but there are a lot of RV parks that won't allow you to stay at their park if you're older than 10 years on your rig. In other words, if your rig has not been built or has a model year within 10 years of today, you're not allowed to stay there. Now, some places are really hardcore about the rule. Other places are a little loose about it, but the rule exists, and the rule exists for a lot of different reasons. And no place is really gonna probably tell you the full answer as to why, but I'm gonna tell you here the main reasons why. Now, you might have guessed, one of the main reasons that people have the 10-year rule is to keep the lower income and lower level rigs out of their park. It keeps the visual style of the park as a newer park, thus attracting higher end people. And the more that there is older RVs there, the more the general idea is that it's gonna reduce the curb appeal of that park. And that curb appeal matters when you're trying to attract folks for a premium price. And these days, we know most RV parks are charging a premium price. But that curb appeal also matters because there's a lot of RV parks out there that are planning at some point to sell their RV park. They're planning to sell it to a large corporation that are buying up these RV parks all over the country. There's a lot of capital out there looking to buy RV parks. And the best way to get your RV park purchased is to make sure it's got nice curb appeal. If those finance people show up and they see a whole lot of refrigerators outside of a whole lot of funky rigs, well, that's not going to be a real appealing thing for an investor now, is it? So you also have this curb appeal issue for investors and people looking to value their RV park for whatever reason, maybe getting more equity or whatever. So keeping the RVs new really helps. Another big one is safety and liability concerns. The older an RV gets, the more likely it is to have problems, to have homemade repairs done by someone, not by a professional. And there's a decent chance that that RV can start to fall out of code. Every RV has an RV Association sticker on it. And that RV Association sticker means that it's built to a certain standard, electrical standards, plumbing standards. And when somebody starts doing their own repairs on these RVs, they're usually no longer to an electrical standard. They're usually to Frank's standard or Jack's standard or whoever happened to be twisting wires on that RV.
Ron, none of this is up to code.
Sure it is. It's up to the Swanson Code.
And so the likelihood that there could be a fire or a problem increases when the RVs get older. New RVs don't catch on fire as much as old RVs. So that's one of the reasons you see the 10-year rule. And this leads to insurance issues. As we know, the insurance companies and lawyers rule the world. They're the ones who decide most of the rules that you see. And as a result, because of that 10-year rule and the 10-year increase of risk for a fire, you will get cheaper insurance or might be able to get cheaper insurance or better rates for your park if you institute a 10-year rule. That is something that a lot of places cite as the reason. I don't know that they're always telling the truth, but if you ask most places with a 10-year rule, that's the answer they're going to give you for insurance reasons. The same reason the mechanic tells you that you can't walk in the shop for insurance reasons, but it's really because the mechanic doesn't want you walking in his shop while he's working, period. It doesn't have much to do with insurance either way. So yes, you're going to hear that it's likely because of insurance reasons if you ask one of these parks. And let's face it, if you've got your RV for 10 years, one thing you're gonna have to really focus on at some point is replacing that old mattress. So check out this mattress.
You know how every RV comes with a terrible mattress? Ours was no exception. Thin, floppy, and basically useless. So for this trip, we finally upgraded to a Tokta Utopia, a custom RV mattress made just for our weird Murphy bed dimensions. We gave them the measurements, picked our firmness, and they shipped it ahead of us to a UPS access point on our route. That's right, we picked it up mid-trip right in Hinton, Alberta, unboxed it in the trailer, and bam, it's amazing. Comfortable, folds perfectly, and somehow it opened up even more storage in our Murphy bed than we had before. A huge thanks to Tokta for making this possible. Honestly, this is the first time we've ever slept well in the RV.
Also, this 10-year rule sort of puts an end game on long-term tenants. Sometimes long-term tenants will move in for a while, but year after year they stay. Their RV starts to grow decrepit, moldy, funky, and it doesn't look so hot. And so if you are staying somewhere for many, many years, at some point your RV is likely going to be past 10 years. Now, if you have a brand new RV, you're less likely to be the kind of person who's gonna let your RV fall into disrepair or that you're gonna have problems like this. But if you're coming in there with an 8 or 9 year old RV as a long-term RVer, well, you're gonna hit your 10-year mark pretty darn quick. And so discouraging long-term sort of squatting tenants or tenants that just aren't gonna leave, where they just sort of have roots that grow into the ground and that trailer's not going anywhere until you bring a bulldozer. Well, they want to avoid those situations. And that's why you also see these 10-year rules. You might say, I've never seen that 10-year rule, and that very well may be. I have asked around before I did this video and kind of asked folks on the internet, put out a few posts, got a lot of feedback from people, and it does seem to be regional. There are some regions that have more 10-year rules than others, and it has to do a lot with is that region a higher end region? So for instance, down in Arizona, I know that down in Arizona where there's a lot of snowbirders, you're gonna see a lot of the 10-year rule. There, they've got a lot of motor coach rules as well, where you have to have essentially a Class A if you wanna stay there. And there are some that say you have to have a Class A that is newer than 10 years old, which is extreme, right? But what you've done is you've filtered out all the poor people. Pretty much everyone showing up has got money, and that matters if you're trying to run a business. So that's the reality, is you're filtering out the poor people when you do that. Where is this happening? Well, I hear Ontario, it happens a bit. Out here in Vancouver, I haven't heard of any places. I haven't seen any RV park. Mind you, I don't really go to expensive resort style RV parks anyway. I go to campgrounds and trailer parks. So as a result, I'm probably not gonna run into this as much. And if you go to the cheaper parks, you probably won't run into this. This is more for the higher end, nicer resort places. They're the ones that institute this rule. Vancouver Island, I hear, has it. I know that it happens down in Southern California in some places. You know, basically it's gonna vary from place to place. Oh, Florida, another place where you're gonna find a lot of snowbirds. That's where you're going to see a lot of these rules. And let's admit it, if you were a wealthy retiree with your $300,000 Class A, you might want to live in a place where it's all just people like you, people with their expensive RVs. No, I'm just kidding. No, really, you earned that money, you spent all that money, and do you really want to pull next to some decrepit, moldy trailer that hasn't moved for 25 years and has basically got vines growing over the top of it? No, you don't want that. And some people don't, and they're gonna go to one of those parks with a 10-year limit. So is there a 10-year limit? Yes, they exist, and you may run into it. Is it a problem for you? I don't know. If it's the only place you can stay and it's got a 10-year limit, probably got a problem. Now, how do you get around this problem? Well, here's what a lot of people say. Number one, if you have a nice rig and it's older than 10 years old, call the company, reach out to them, and send them a photo. Let them see your rig and see that it's not that bad, it's just older than 10 years. A lot of times those rules are there not because of insurance reasons. They're there for aesthetics, and if your rig looks nice, they're gonna let it roll. So it's that simple. Just ask and maybe say, here's a picture of my RV. Have it ready to go, a little digital email picture. You're gonna find a lot of those places are gonna be just fine with that. When I had kind of a crappier rig, my first rig, which didn't look that pretty, I rolled into a really nice RV park. Man, they didn't have any rules, but they came out and asked me all kinds of questions. Why do you have a ladder on top? Are you a contractor? All kinds of snooty questions, because they didn't want my crappy old RV in their pretty little RV park. It's gonna happen sometimes. So just reach out. If you're concerned, if you think your rig is too old or too funky for some place, other places won't allow you in there if it's not RVIA certified, like that little sticker I told you about. So if you've got a home-built schoolie, you may not be allowed in some RV parks as well. Usually the government campgrounds have no rules, but the private ones certainly do. So keep it in mind. Keep that 10-year limit in mind. I know when I bought my RV in 2022, my expectation was I wasn't gonna have it past 2032. And you should think about that as well. When you're buying an RV, when does it hit that 10-year limit, and is that gonna be a problem? And if you're worried about being a problem, call some of the places that you like to go. If there's areas you wanna go, look in advance, see if there's a 10-year rule. Most places are gonna be fine with it, especially if you keep your rig looking clean and nice. Like I always say, it's a problem out there these days with all the folks and homeless folks living in RVs. A lot of people who don't use RVs or around RVs are leery of funky old RVs because you could just be sort of a homeless person or a person who's not doing so well and down and out trying to find a spot. And you might be considered one of those if your RV looks like a dump. So keep your RV looking nice, keep it polished, keep it clean. Make sure you fix the cracked windows and keep the duct tape off the side. And chances are, most RV park owners are going to be perfectly happy to take your money and have you stay at their park. Have you ever run into the 10-year rule? Is this a problem for you? Let me know if it is. Comment below. And so whatever age your RV is, make sure you get out there and get busy living. See you, everybody. I'm going home.
And don't forget to check our Patreon link. You can point your phone at this QR code or check the link in the description. I want to thank our founding members, Cindy C. and Corey C., as well as our newest members, Retired Trucker 2021, Paul S. and Gary S. I hope this video was worthy of your subscription.